So this is my rose bush. It is chaotic. You can see last year I pruned and trimmed it back. There's a lot of dead stuff in here. When we first moved in, it was absolute chaos. And a lot of it was dead. It hadn't been pruned in probably 6 or 7 years. And then I pruned it the first time we were here about 2 years ago. And then again last year. And so now I'm gonna do it again. And the first time I did it, I pretty much just hacked everything off. Anything that was dead, I hacked it off. Anything that was too in my way, it got hacked off. Roses are pretty hardy, especially this one. I mean, it hasn't been touched for as long as it did, and it survived quite a bit. So you can see though where I pruned last year, which I didn't really prune at a good angle, but it is what it is. By pruning it off this way, it actually sent a new bud and sprout out. So keep in mind where you're pruning is going to have some new growth coming in. Some of it may be what you want, some of it may not be, and then you just have to kind of keep pruning it back. And this bush is probably going to take a long time to get where I want it to be, but that's okay because it's huge and I don't want to hurt it more than necessary. And you can even see, maybe you can't because my camera won't focus, but in the bush there is some sort of damage that's been done to some of these, most likely caused by beetles. We have a lot of beetles that come, twice a year or so, and they pretty much live on my rose bush, and they eat the leaves and flowers and everything off of them, and sometimes they really do some damage to the stems here, but I mean, it'll look good one day. And it's kind of in this upside down A formation, a V. It's kind of like in a V shape right now, and I really want to get that honed in a little bit, so that it's not the way that it is right now, because this is just utter chaos, and you can see just all over the place. So I'm going to try and get a video of me doing some pruning, but the wind is a little crazy out here, so gotta figure out how I'm gonna set that up. But So you can see you want to cut at an angle and make sure it's a clean cut. This one was fairly clean, I'd say. And then you want to, this one really doesn't give you a good idea. I still have some pruning to do, but I wanted to kind of show what I was doing. So when you cut at an angle, you want to have the bud or new growth being that last bit. That was a little close of a cut, but you want that to be really your last end piece, so that it doesn't grow all crazy. And of course I'm picking the one spot I haven't really pruned very well. But see, all your end pieces you want to be buds, so you don't want something that looks like, well, actually there is a bud on this one, so I lied. But see, you want to cut right where that bud is starting to pop out. And some of them you can't tell, like they're not super big. Like this one you can tell this is a new bud. But on something like this, you can't tell that there's a tiny bud there unless you're really paying attention. You do not want something like this. There's no bud at the top here, and it's starting, you can see the discoloration. So you want to find the closest bud, which is going to be right there, and just cut that off at an angle. As far as doing major reconstruction on this guy, you can see I've got pieces that go way out there on both sides, and I am going to, I already did, I made some cuts that still had growth on them, but for the betterment of the tree, it's not really a bush anymore, it's more a tree. I made some cuts and adjustments. These guys that are up here are still very green. And of course I can't get them down, but they're very green, so I'm gonna try and train them on a piece of lattice. So I'll do another video of that to try and get this to kind of shape back in.